And welcome to Football 360 Show. Welcome to the Football 360 Show. Welcome to the Football 360 Show. I'm your host, JP Rock. I guess we're live. We live, Joe? Just a thumbs up. We're good? Okay. I'm going to keep talking. Enjoy my beautiful face. If you can't hear me, I think I hear myself a little bit. Maybe it's my headphones a little bit. We're doing it live. This is proof we're doing it live. Being off to such an inauspicious start. I am your host, JP Rock. He is the co-host, Matt Bierman. Matt, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. We're going live. First time doing it live.
First time
so
live, as we can tell, as we can see. Great start so far. You can follow us at Football 360 Show on X and at Football 360 Show on Instagram.
Yep.
As well. So hopefully we're running a little bit behind. So a little technical difficulties here, running a little bit behind. So, hang in there with us. We're amateurs. Just trying to live in a professional world.
Amen.
Episode 4 coming at you live. Like I said, you want to tell a little bit about yourself for all the folks who missed the very first launch show?
Yeah, I'm Matt Bierman. I'm owner and president of Elite Football, Elite Performance Academy, based in Chesterfield, Missouri. I've been coaching and the football's been a big part of my life for 30 plus years. I guess almost 40 years.
Almost 40 years. Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a long, I'm in the training development space. I've been recruiting and helping kids get recruited, train, develop, coach.
Coach on every level. Right?
Coach on every level. And, had a pretty good run as a skill development business that we started in 1999 and then have grown that. And we're really one of the pioneers of what we now know as football skill development training.
Right.
And then we grew it into performance training, and we have a wide variety of services that we offer at our facility. And we train kids from all around the country. We've had kids come in from Germany, Canada, Mexico. We've had guys from really all over come and train and develop with us. So I really love the fact that we're really one of the main training hubs in the Midwest. So we get to see kids develop from young ages, from 5, 6, 7, 8, when they're getting in their flag football and just learning skill development. We also have them, develop through and do their skill work. And then obviously we partner with guys like yourself to help them get to the next level in college. And, we have a wide variety of development options for training, but then also exposure options as you get older up the chain. And then, we get involved in NFL Pro Day training, combine training.
Do it all and have done it all.
Yep.
So yeah, I am JP Rock. I've been doing this about 20 years. I've worked in media. I've been a scout, a recruiting analyst, media working for Fox Sports Midwest, scout.com, multiple prep websites, currently director of Scouting Flower Scouting, contributor to Prep Red Zone, rankings editor, the whole works. So between the two of us, you're right. We have about 40 years plus.
Yeah, a lot of experience, and we've learned a lot along the way. Right? It's just one of those things that being in the world of football, sometimes people see the flashy, the games or the highlights online, and we're intimately involved in the behind the scenes, which I think a lot of people think that's intriguing, and I think that hopefully we can give you some insight into the behind the scenes and how the bread's really baked in at all levels of the game in football. And
right.
We have a wide variety of insight.
And really the driving force behind it is to help kids fulfill their dreams, live up to their potential and go where they're trying to go.
Yeah,
on their journey.
And what's interesting, we're just 4 episodes in now, and the feedback we're getting from parents is really outstanding.
Parents, players.
Yeah, and we got some college coaches that have reached out, and I think it's pretty cool that the parents and the kids are using as a resource to get questions answered and hear some different viewpoints than maybe what they're getting. Because sometimes you feel like everybody else is getting an offer. Why am I not getting an offer? Why are they getting exposure and I'm not? And different phases in the recruiting process. I mean, obviously that's a lot of it is the recruiting process. And we are really focused on, giving people the straight answers, maybe not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, I was having a conversation right before you showed up, and we were talking about a young man who already has a D1 offer, and the parents are concerned that his recruitment's not really taking off, and so my response was he's right where he needs to be. He's just a junior, already has a D1 offer. Schools know about him. He's doing what he needs to do. He's not only putting in the work, and we talked in a previous episode about building. You have to build. You can't just show up and do the work. You got to go above and beyond and build something of yourself and build to where you want to go. And
Correct.
so that's happening. So yeah, we're going to discuss about that. We talk about a lot of that stuff. We talk about recruiting. We talk about the high school football. We talk about the college football. We talk about development and training. And so all that stuff is going to be coming up for you guys. First, though, I don't want to keep them hanging too long. We have a guest, our very first guest on the Football 360 show. Since he's there, I don't want to keep him waiting too long. Daedon Hopkins from Hermann, Missouri. Daedon, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too.
Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you.
No problem.
So talk about timely. So right before we went on the air, I saw a tweet from you that you just picked up yet another offer.
Yep, KU.
So before we get into your
Congratulations.
offers, yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
Talk about somebody who's exploding on the scene. And it's really not all of a sudden because you've put in that work, you've trained, and we're going to talk about that. But go ahead and tell everybody about yourself, your position you play, your height, your weight.
I'm 6'6", 205, from Hermann, Missouri. I have been training at Elite for a while now, probably for, I probably want to say 5-ish months. I don't.
It was
That's
probably,
not real accurate.
probably closer to a year. Only it was like last off season, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Is what
That's what I remember.
A question for you though. When you started training, what was the primary reason you trained? Wanted to start training.
So it was, I just wanted to get better at my position. So the summer, my freshman summer, going to be sophomore, I wanted to be a baseball catcher. So I was training for that. And then I kind of realized I couldn't do that because of how tall I got. And
you're pretty tall.
6'6"
Yeah.
You're one of the biggest catchers I've seen.
Yeah. And so I just went to Elite and started training for D-line, and I'm here now.
Right. So talk a little bit about what's been happening with you lately as far as all of a sudden people are taking notice of you. Walk us through who you're hearing from, who you have offers from.
So I got a great start to my season and kind of posted the midseason highlights, and I started hearing from, right now I'm hearing from Minnesota, Mizzou, who else?
You have 3 offers now.
Yep. KU, K-State, and Iowa State.
So were you surprised at the attention that you've gotten and the early offers?
Yes, very surprised. I thought it'd take a little bit longer, but it was.
So did you have fear, right? You're not in like at the biggest high school, you're in a great program. But did you have some fear going into it that maybe you might not get the exposure you want or thought you would deserve?
Yes, I did. I thought being from a small town, it'd be a lot harder to be noticed. So I just went to like a ton of college camps, and eventually I got noticed. So.
Well, here's the thing. First time you walk in the door, I see you. You're training with Mike Gant, one of our coaches, and it's pretty obvious to see your stature and how you're built, right? You're long, right? And a lot of coaches, you can't coach, length on athletes, but it's one thing to be tall. It's another thing to move well, but also have the mannerisms and be able to move as you should at that position, right? So it's not very shocking to me. It's like one of those things where, especially when you see someone that's bigger when they're younger, that it just takes time, right? So like being patient, understanding that it's not going to happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have the opportunity if you keep working at it, right? So what's your thought process now that you've had those offers and you're starting to gain traction? Is your mindset like, hey, I've made it, or is it like, oh, I'm doubling down?
No, so I'm like my mindset's still like keep going, keep working. Obviously once the season gets over, I'm gonna get right back to elite, keep training, keep hitting the weight room, and yeah, like I want to get a lot of offers. That's the goal.
Yeah, that's great. And JP, I think last week we talked a lot about sequencing and highlight films, and well, can you share with anybody, with the other athletes your age or parents listening, what was your strategy doing your highlight film? Did you just go week to week, or did you put your best plays up front? How'd you lay that out?
So I would just do week to week. I would post um every week like on my Twitter, and then like at the fourth week I posted my week 1 through 4 highlights like all together as one. So yeah, that's really what I've been doing.
Perfect.
So did you tag anybody in particular? Did you use that to tag people in the hopes of maybe getting some retweets, help you get noticed?
No, not really. I mean, tag head football coach, my head football coach, Big Mike, my trainer, and then you obviously.
There you go. That's the answer I was looking for.
Well, then that's part of the strategy too, because you retweet a ton,
Absolutely.
we retweet a ton, and you look at who's following your respective account and ours. To think that those are not being seen by guys that get paid for a living to recruit kids and coach kids, is silly, because it's just part of that network, right? It's right. Our network's relative to guys that are looking at football players, right?
Absolutely. And as coaches. So just kind of walk us through. I know you got your Iowa State offer first, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So you went up there for a game day visit, and that's when you learned about your offer?
Yep. So
go ahead.
I went up there. I was kind of thinking that I'd get one. I wasn't too sure though, because we've been talking for a little bit, but it was a great game. It was actually before the game that I got the offer. So yeah, it was a great time up there.
And then your second one was Kansas State. Your thoughts on that one?
It was, so the D-line coach actually came down to my high school to see me, and we had a good conversation, and that's where he told me that he was going to offer me.
And if Kansas State offers somebody, KU is usually not that far behind.
Yeah.
Since they're in close competition. And what did the Jayhawks have to say?
So I was talking with the wide receivers coach, and he was just telling me about their program, telling me like they liked what they saw in me, and that he was going to offer me, and yeah.
And so other schools that you're hearing from primarily?
Hearing a lot from Minnesota, Mizzou, Iowa a little bit. Just went up there on a game day. Those mainly.
Mainly. And other game day visits. Did you say that you took a game day visit to Mizzou, or you're planning to?
I already did.
You already did? Okay.
Yep. And I'm going to Nebraska on the 21st and Notre Dame on the 28th.
You said you did summer camps. What summer camps did you do, out of curiosity?
So I went to KU, Nebraska, Mizzou, and then I went to the Lindenwood.
The Mega Camp?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's obviously that's an opportunity. Every school you mentioned that you're interested in or have offers from was at that camp, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they do their homework, right? Minnesota is one that has their entire staff there. I think K-State probably did too as well. So, and Iowa State is always a big participant in that. So I think that's really interesting. So preparing and then getting to a spot where you actually get to be seen early in the summer and you're ready to go can pay off, right? And little do you know that just a few months later, you're going to be getting offers from those coaches. So
Right, absolutely.
impressive.
And like the first camp that you went to was actually a combine, and that was back in March of this year earlier, and that was
It was good. I
the
liked it a lot.
elite football combine, right?
Yeah.
The
That
elite
kind of a
football.
coming out party,
Yeah,
right?
it was. And so did that help you to come into the elite combine? Did that help prepare you for the camps that you went to later on?
Yeah. So going there, me and my mom were kind of talking about it. I wanted to see like kind of like how I was ranked against like other athletes who want the same thing that I do. And so going to that first camp, like it really helped me out a lot.
Yeah, and you actually had some scheduling difficulties, so you were doing baseball practice, if I remember right.
Hmm.
You were talking to me about showing up to the camp, and so you were worried about baseball practice, but you managed to show up to the combine, and now here we are now.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and I
it
think
was
that's
a good decision,
important too,
right?
because all that stuff in the spring gets slammed real close, and it
Oh,
puts a
absolutely.
lot of stress on the athlete and the families, and it makes you make tough choices, right? But I think communication with your coaches, and especially when your primary sport is football. I mean, obviously, you still had your dreams of being a catcher, right? But
Yeah.
but it's one of those things where like you obviously have to make some of those hard decisions, and when you're built like you are and you move like you do and you play like you do, I think the signs start pointing towards like, hey, this thing's a reality.
Right.
Hmm.
And you come from an athletic family, right?
Yes. Mom played volleyball at Nebraska and dad was a safety at Nebraska.
Oh, there you go. That's a pretty
Yep.
good start on an athletic
So
career.
are they excited
Yeah.
about the visit in Nebraska, I would imagine?
Yeah, they're pretty excited.
Right. But they're going to let you decide where you want to go.
Hmm.
They're not going to recruit you to Nebraska being a
Yeah.
loss.
Yeah.
So real quick before we let you go, tell us about your season. And one thing on top of that, you've surprised me with your ability to catch the ball as a tight end. And I'm not sure how much film you've seen of him this season as a tight end,
Yeah.
but unbelievable. Just natural receiver skills at 6'6".
Yep. So, season's been off to a great start. Had a great first game against Montgomery, and yeah, things really just took off from there. Like, I have 4 sacks right now, but a couple tackle for losses, I think, fumble recovery. I'm not sure how many tackles I have, but yeah, everything's been going really good so far, and I'm hoping to keep that up.
What has impressed me is your receiving numbers. I mean, you're closing in on like 500 yards last time I checked.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah.
So are schools looking at you as a tight end or D end or both?
Mizzou is looking at me as a tight end.
Okay. And I get the impression that you would prefer to play with your hand down and rush the quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's
But hey, Travis Kelce's dating Taylor Swift, right? I mean, you get all the glory with the tight end position now.
They don't want to hear about that, right, Daedon?
Yeah. So, but I would say that what you were talking about, JP, is you showing that ability as a tight end, whether you want to play it and show that all that athletic ability, just speaks volumes to what they can translate and put you on the defensive side. So, we talked a few weeks ago. Some of the best defensive linemen I've ever been around can throw a football extremely well. It's because they're athletic. They can also catch it.
Football, dunk a basketball.
Yeah. So there's a lot. It goes hand in hand. So, I mean, I'm sure your team loves having that big target, but also at the same time, it's also helping you just showcase your athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Daedon, we appreciate you joining us, and I'm sure we're going to be talking to you down the line as the offers start to pile up and your season goes along. Who do you got next for a game?
Nebraska, 21st.
No, your high school game.
Oh, high school game. We have St. Clair.
St. Clair. All right. Well, good
Very
luck.
Nice. Good luck.
Good luck on Friday, and we'll talk to you down the line.
Congratulations on Kansas.
Thank you.
Thanks, Daedon. What a great kid. Mom,
awesome.
Great family, great kid. You love to see good things happen to a kid like that because he is doing everything the right way. And I remember talking to him and his mom at Elite, and they were unsure. They were unsure. Is this for him? And they wanted to know my opinion on what I thought. And I said, he is going to be a D1.
He's going to be a dude. Yeah. You can tell.
Oh.
And here's the other thing. We didn't touch on it. How far is his drive from Hermann to Chesterfield?
It's a shot.
That's a commitment. Like, you're not just doing that for fun, right? You're coming on a mission. And I think that's what's really, really unique. If you want it, you can go find it and do it. And if you want to make excuses, you can make excuses, right? We have plenty of people that live within 5 miles of us that have aspirations of being whatever type of athlete that just don't put in the work. And you have other people. I mean, we had kids in this weekend on Sunday from Springfield, Illinois.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Was one of them Kellen Wilson?
He was not in this weekend, but he comes in quite often, and he's. I mean, it's a long drive.
It is a long drive, but it absolutely is about you wanting to do it. And I tell kids all the time, there's a lot of good athletes out there. It's how bad do you want it?
Yep.
What are you willing to put in to get to that point? And Daedon obviously has been doing that. And man, just like
what a great young man. He's a worker. He doesn't come in and talk about it. He just comes in and works, which is greatly appreciated as a coach.
And he's been building. He's one of those dudes that has been building from the first time that I saw him in there, where he was just a little bit, just in awe of everything, because he trains with a lot of D1 players and prospects. So
can you imagine that frame when he fills out? I mean, he is. I'm sure college coaches are drooling because he is every bit of 6'6".
Absolutely, he's going to be one of the most heavily recruited kids in his class in the state, if not the country.
When big things ahead for him.
Absolutely. Hey, Wendy's in Chesterfield, Missouri Valley is a proud sponsor of the Football 360 show. Work hard, play hard. Wendy's is family owned and operated. Known for our pizza, wings, and live entertainment. You can have a great time, and it's good inside or outside on the heated patio with fall and winter weather on the way. Wendy's, it has carry-out and online ordering available for great food and a great time. Head to Wendy's, 18,000 Chesterfield Airport Road, Chesterfield, Missouri. Tell them you heard about them on the Football 360 show. And if you're interested in advertising on the Football 360 show, definitely reach out to us. Reach out to Megs at football360show.com, and she will be happy to help you out so that you can go ahead and have your name associated with this fine product that we're trying to provide to everybody right now.
Yeah, I think that's part of the deal. Like Wendy's is a great supporter of what we're doing, and I passed.
It's a great place.
I passed the Wendy's on our way in tonight coming from the facility. Parking lot packed,
full,
right? Yeah, full. Just great. So it's awesome to see, and they support local companies, local community efforts, and I think part of what we're doing
local
is
football,
trying to teach and educate. And I think that them supporting that and helping us out doing what we're doing is huge.
And we appreciate them
definitely,
very much so. So a lot of stuff going on. Before we get rolling even more, though, I want to go ahead and give our socials out. You want to go ahead and give yours?
So on Instagram, it's Elite Football Academy, and then on Twitter it's just Elite Football. So those are the two main ones. I don't have my own personal stuff. It's all
you're all about the elite.
I mean, it's all about elite, and then really, if you look, the focus is on our athletes. Like at the end of the day, that's what we're here to do, is promote them and do the best we can and support their mission.
Right. You can find me at JPRockMO on Twitter or X. I'm going to be calling it Twitter, just like I call a certain place in Maryland Heights, Riverport still. So I'm going to be calling it Twitter. So on X or Twitter, you can find me at JPRockMO. On Instagram, JPRock Scouts U, the letter U, and Football 360 show on both X and Instagram. Follow us there. So hopefully you have found us and you're checking us out live. If not, hopefully you can catch us on the YouTube channel, which is the Football 360 show as well. So the season, one of the things we're going to talk about is how fast it's going by.
Too fast.
It's too fast. It's crazy. We're already at week 6 in high school and week 5 or 6 in college football.
Yeah. I mean, it's flying. I mean, yeah, you're looking at just a few weeks ago, we're talking preseason.
Oh, crazy.
And now it's live games and we're heading into a pivotal time because we're going to have a lot of teams starting to have a few weeks. They'll start having buys.
Yep.
And trying to rest their bodies for their last run of the season.
Yeah.
And once you see that, it's, we're heading towards bowl season.
Right. And in high school, we're starting the playoffs in just what, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
3 weeks time. A lot of great games still to play, though.
Very, very good games. A lot of good games on tap this weekend, and there was a lot the last few weekends, and it starts to get a lot more serious, though. I mean, these games count. Every game in high school counts. Heck, I'm coaching junior football. Every game in junior football counts. I
Oh.
mean, I always talk about it. Like you only like in that particular age group, like our league is 8 games. That's all you get, right? There's no extras. It's just 8 games, and they count and they matter, right? And I think it's such a unique. That's the one thing about football. Not to take anything away from any other game, but the limited nature of the sport and how many games. It's such a small season,
Right.
Over a good chunk of time, but small number of games. It's just really nothing else like it, and I think that's what every game matters. And they're games that you'll remember. The high school guys remember the rest of their lives.
Right. How fun is that trying to instill that into what are you coaching? 7th graders?
Seventh graders, yeah.
Graders?
Oh, it's so much fun. I mean, the intensity level is there most of the time, but they're still young boys growing, and so sometimes they don't concentrate as well as they should. But I think instilling the love of the game is the most important thing. Obviously, teaching them to compete is another thing, and play to their fullest potential is just as important.
Right.
And it's really cool because then that's the next stage. Before you know it, they're high schoolers. I mean, you mentioned 2 weeks ago or last week that you have lists of kids down to 2029, which is that's 6th grade, right? 2030.
2030, yeah.
Which is 6th grade.
Oh, yeah.
And I think people find that hard to believe, but it's not hard to believe because that's the next phase rolling in. And oddly enough, I got NFL scouts that I talk to on a fairly regular basis. They are asking for questions about guys on our 7-on-7 teams. They're asking about kids that come in and train. Hey, who's the next guy?
Right.
So they're starting to map these guys out.
Doesn't surprise me at all. NFL scouts will reach out to somebody like me because they're looking for the next guy on the high school or middle school level. That's how competitive it is. That's how much everybody wants to get that edge and try to find guys. So what advice would you give to somebody who's just, say you're a new football parent, your kid's going to play middle school football. They haven't played football before.
So I think starting young, if you're going to go young, I mean, I know people start in kindergarten and real young. The challenge I've seen over the years with that is just the coaching has to be so spot on with that age, and the motive of the coach has to be so spot on that you can scare kids off really easily. So what I've seen work the best in my experience is flag football, make them believe they're football players, let them get the experience, have fun with it. They start getting that 5th grade, 6th grade.
Learn the sport a little more.
Yeah, have some basic skills of catching, taking handoffs, breaking down to pull flags, and then let that matriculate up into the tackle game, which, in the middle school, we're really fortunate to have some really good middle school leagues, and there's also some select leagues still in town. But getting with a good coach and having a good experience and not really worrying about like where you are, right? Because so many people get caught up on the position they're playing today.
Oh yeah,
right. One of my best stories about that is there's a kid who I used to get emails from his dad, and it was always talking about bringing him in, and the dad, the young man was a lineman, and the dad, his dad was a big guy. And the kid was not a big guy, right? And
got mom's genes.
And the kid was a fast kid, but the team played him at a line. He played for a junior team, and then he gets to high school, and he's now a receiver and defensive back. And one night he was sitting in my office. He's like, we used to always come in here, try to come in for like lineman training because that's where they played me, but I never wanted to be that. I always thought I was going to be something different. It was Cam Brown, who played at CBC, that went to Ohio State, who's now I think with the Chargers.
Yeah. Big time cornerback. Yeah.
His senior year he won the Ill Speed, which was the Under Armour fastest man in the country competition.
Yeah.
So he started at lineman. It did not detract him. He still loved the game, but he had aspirations to play more. And guess what? He did a great job with it.
Right. Absolutely. And what's so funny about that is we were talking earlier with Daedon Hopkins about the Elite Football Combine. Cam Brown came to the Elite Football Combine as, I think, an 8th grader freshman in high school. Yeah.
And you know what? That's probably where he started realizing, like, hey, I am really fast. Like, it's one thing to think you're fast. It's another thing to show up and run fast.
Without
start to see where you shake out versus the other athletes.
Right. And that's what Daedon was talking about, is you want to see where you are compared to the other guys. And the Elite Football Combine, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later on, we might have an announcement coming up here soon as to a date in the
Yeah, we're going to be March. It looks like
is it set?
It looks like it's going to be March.
Looks
6th,
like, or are we
March,
set?
March 16th is not 100%, but that's what the date that we've settled in on pretty much.
Okay, and so we're going to be talking more about that, but I mean, it's just a great way for you. And I always tell kids when it's about the combine, I always tell them, look, you want to come in, you want to find out where you're at as a player, where you're at as an athlete. That's what's so invaluable about the elite combine.
So, something Daedon said that I found interesting is he wanted to compete and see where he fit. There's a lot of people that don't want to compete and see where they fit, right? Because they get through because someone buys off on them, gives them a few early offers or something like that. Those guys that don't want to compete, typically they're hiding something, right? And at some point you're going to get exposed. So you might as well do it when you're going to do it, right? And be in an environment where you can learn. We do offer kids the opportunity to scratch scores so they don't see the light of day. And I think that's really important in the process.
It is.
But, I do think we jump from middle school to high school. That jump is really fast, right? So have fun playing football in middle school, have fun in high school. But if you have a goal of playing above and beyond, I always tell kids, look, at the end of the day, when you graduate, you have 4 years in high school, they don't let you do any redos. There's no red shirting. There's no going back.
No.
It is what it is. And even if they want you to stay there and play, you can't. So you have to prepare yourself for the moment in time where you're no longer a member of that team. You got to be the best member you can be at that time. I always say the best teammate is the most prepared teammate, right?
Absolutely.
Because, yes, you have to buy into every team concept, but where it falls down is if you're not as good as you could be, right? And you're not meeting your potential. So, there is that struggle between, being coached by guys that aren't associated with your program. But I think we've found over the years of, 20 plus years of doing it that, we don't ever want to get pitted against a coach and saying, well, they told me to do it this way. You're going to hear lots of ways as you go through football, being taught how to do different things. You're going to hear many different voices from many different coaches the deeper you get in the game. To think there's one voice is probably, selling it real short. That's just not the way it works.
Right. You want to bring your best you into the team concept.
Correct.
In the offseason. So speaking of the elite combine, joining us right now, we have Mason Burke from Holt, Wentzville Holt High School. Mason, how you doing? Thanks for joining us tonight.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing fantastic. We were just talking about the elite football combine, as I'm sure you heard, and you were a two-time participant, I believe. Yep. So your thoughts on that real quick before we get to why you're here.
I think that the combine really helped me go perform better at some of the other camps that I would go to in the summer, just to get more prepared for learn how to do all the agility drills and things like that, and even the one-on-ones and stuff like that.
And yours is an interesting story because tell everybody about your journey in Holt from when you first started. You started out at a different position to where you're at right now.
Yeah, my freshman, sophomore year, I was kind of playing running back mostly. I didn't play D-line till last year. I didn't really play. I didn't start anywhere until my junior year, but I was also really stuck on being a running back for some reason. But
I remember seeing you come in and catching passes a lot, and I used to think, man, he's a big running back.
He's a big dude, right?
Right? But it speaks to your athleticism. And you're not just a big guy that played running back. I don't doubt that you couldn't get some serious yardage.
He did, yeah.
I mean, serious yardage.
He did, yeah. And so talk about that transition going from running back to defensive line.
Yeah, so the start of my junior year, we lost a lot of guys from our previous year, which we had a really successful year. But I was playing outside linebacker on defense, and they put me down at D-line. And I had played D-line before, like middle school types and that kind of stuff. But I still played running back too, but I was mostly focused on D-line after that because after I played a couple games, I kind of enjoyed it more. And I was really focused on that more than anything else. But I was still just playing running back, obviously just to help the team out any way I could. But then I just really started getting focused more on D-line and the more like the technique of it, how to actually be a good D-lineman.
Yeah, you also kind of outgrew the position as well.
Oh, yeah. I guess this offseason, I really put on a lot of weight kind of for those college coaches to see like that I can still be athletic as even though I put on like 40, 50 pounds, I can still run as fast, move as well. It's also just show how athletic I can be at the position.
And that did open up a lot of college coaches' eyes, and you were recruited pretty heavily and were committed to Missouri State. I'm sorry, Murray State
Yeah.
for a little bit. That changed last week, and now today you announced that you are.
Going to Lindenwood.
Yep, you
Yep.
changed your commitment. You're committed to Lindenwood.
Yeah.
Congratulations with that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So why did you decide to choose Lindenwood?
Well, Murray had always been really good to me. They were the first school to come and offer me, but I kind of been waiting for Lindenwood as a school I always had a big interest in, and they kind of waited a while to come actually offer me, and then they actually came to watch my teammate Quinn play, and then they saw me play as well. And they kind of came and wanted to come get both of us. So that's kind of how that worked out in the end. But I chose them purely just because of, obviously, Coach Stugard is great. It's one of the best people I've been around through the whole recruiting process. And just everything they're building there is something that I really wanted to be a part of. So, and obviously it helps that Quinn is going there too.
Yeah.
And it's close to home. It just seemed like the perfect fit for me.
I'm pretty sure we echoed those comments about the program last week, and you just literally repeated first class head coach.
Yeah.
I think we talked about being a gold mine because it's close. It's close, right? It's far enough away from home, but it's close, right? So your parents get to see you and your family and friends. But just an awesome campus, and they are building. And I think it's a really unique time to be, for Division I football in St. Louis, right? We've never had it. So, and you're part of that journey.
And did the Lindenwood coaches tell you where they see you fitting into the program, what position, and how they're going to use you?
Yeah, they said they want to play me more as a D tackle in college, just because of how much size I put on. But still, they still said there would be some times I can play some end, but mostly more playing defensive tackle.
Right, you're still a growing boy.
Oh yeah.
Right? Did they project you as to like how big they want you to get to play D tackle?
They never really talked about that much, but they definitely want to put some more good weight on me, and just see me get, I guess, way bigger and stronger than I already am, and just keep building me up as I progress.
What do you weigh right now?
Right now I'm weighing like 270.
He's about 6'4", 271. Yeah. Was what you were at the combine when you competed.
Yeah.
And you're still pretty lean at 271. Yeah. So you have a frame. You could be a 290, 300 pounder.
Yeah.
You like the prospects of that?
Yeah, I think that would be great.
That'd be a great position for you. So you mentioned your teammate Quinn Brown. You guys, did he recruit you heavily? Because I know he just committed recently to Lindenwood as well. Did you guys talk about it much, going to the same school?
Yeah, we always kind of wanted to go to the same school, but as the whole process was going, it wasn't really working out where he was getting offers, where I was getting offers. But Lindenwood had always been talking to us both for the longest time, and then finally, once they came and saw us play a couple Fridays ago, they finally decided they want both of us to be there, and they came after us pretty heavy after that.
So that's unique too. That what you bring up too. I think a lot of kids don't understand some of that process because they're communicating with you because they've seen you at the mega camp, they've seen you they've seen your results from combines, they've seen you in game film, they've talked to your coaches about you, and a lot of times it just takes that personal interaction to see you live. And I mean, I've sat on sidelines with college coaches, and it's like, yep, okay, we're doing it. So it's a validation process, right? Yeah. So sometimes it's frustrating on your end because you're saying, hey, man, I've shown you everything you need to see. Watch my film. But a lot of times seeing it on a film, on a Twitter screen or a computer screen is a lot different than being there at the sideline level and watching you compete. I think that goes a long way.
Right. I think that was a big part of how it all worked out for both me and Quinn.
Did you know they were there?
Yeah, I did.
Well, did that make you play a little harder?
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, right. That's exciting, right?
Right.
College coach is there to see you. I mean, it's not. They're not there to see everybody on the field. I can tell you that.
Right.
But like he said in the beginning, they came primarily to see Quinn, and then they recognized your talent, and that's so much how recruiting happens. Is coaches will show up to see one player, and then they fall in love with this other guy. They say, "Hey, who's that guy?" And so that's how that happens. So family and everybody pretty happy with your decision.
Yeah, I think everybody was happy with my first decision, but honestly, it didn't feel like the best thing for me at the time. But it's kind of like it was the best thing, but for me, it didn't feel like it. But then once they came around, I think everybody was a little more happy with my decision. So was I.
And so now this is it, 100%.
This is for sure it. Yeah.
This is home.
Yep.
So I see you have a much tighter haircut. At one point in time, he would come in with his buddy Dalton Hosick, who's a baseball player.
Oh yeah.
And he would play catch. You know, he's a good friend. I mean, catch countless balls for him. I mean, but I will tell you, that's when I knew you were a high level athlete. I knew you were a D1 guy. You could just see how you catch. Oh yeah, the hair would flow.
Yeah.
No, but how you body control.
Yes.
And if you go back, I mean, we talked with Daedon about we're talking about being athletic, and that's what these guys are doing. And I talked last week about, do you fit the mold, right? Do the athletes fit the mold of what these coaches are looking for? And it comes down to projectability of your skill sets. Do you have to be a guy that's had 8 years of starting a defensive line to play? No, they're looking for athletes that they can put into spots and let them be athletes. And I think that's the beauty of football. One position may be honing you for another. And I think, you're a prime example. I mean, all those days catching balls, are you going to catch a ton of balls? You may catch one or two in college, or, on screens or whatever it might be where you sniff it out. But at the end of the day, like, you are in a position now because you're athletic and you did little extra things on the side that flash on film, and coaches love it.
Well, Mason, congratulations again, and thank you so much for joining us on the Football 360 show. And I look forward to seeing you. I'll be seeing you in a game here coming up here pretty soon. I won't say which one. I like to surprise everybody when I'm on the sidelines. But I'll be seeing you soon, and good luck the rest of the year.
Congratulations.
You're welcome. Such another great young man that we've become familiar with from watching him play and him coming to the combine, coming into training.
Tell you what, he's had some, I didn't bring it up, he's had a couple rushes in the facility, like we're going head to head with guys where they get just competitors, right? Going against other top guys.
Yeah.
And he wants to show you who the top guy is. And I think those are the guys that make it to the next level. It's not a secret how it happens. Yes, he has size and he worked his butt off to get it, but he's athletic and he also has a competitive drive.
He's one of those guys you can see that he wants it. Just like you said, he wants to show you he's the man.
Yeah, he's hard-nosed.
He's a hard-nosed guy. And I'm telling you what, I 100% agree with what Lindenwood's going to do. He's going to be a 290-pound monster, a defensive tackle who can, just, shoot gaps and make plays and the whole works. And you're absolutely right. People don't understand. Whatever you can do to be seen, whatever you can do athletically to be seen, right? Like you said about throwing the football or catching balls, that all goes in. That's all part of the process to help you with your recruitment.
100%.
So never feel that you're, why would I do that? Oh, I'm not going to mess with that. Why would I bother with that? It's the totality of everything that you do.
It is the sport of athletes.
It absolutely
It is 100% the sport of athletes.
Absolutely. Not 6'6" catchers.
No. No, not at all.
There's not that. So good stuff from Mason there. And we're going to talk a little bit of college football. Lindenwood doing a great job with recruiting, with Quinn Brown, with Mason, with Pops Battle, Demetrius Jones.
They're making some great inroads. I saw a bunch of their coaches were really active last night on Twitter with making connections with athletes on via the phone and communicating. Again, I think they're probably not where they want to be results wise on the field, but that takes time. You're in that incubation period going from D2 to D1. That's a big jump.
Right.
Very big jump.
I got to tell you what, though, last week they were loaded with local talent coming for game day visits. And I'm talking about guys like Hoyt Gregory, who has a D1 offer from a Florida school. Sam Boydston was there. Dakari Hollis, who had a monster game I was at on Friday, was there.
Yep. So I think I mentioned last week, I said, there's a list of kids that I know that I've just had conversation with them and their parents that Lindenwood's at the top of the list. And if they get offered by him, and I think it's interesting, Mason just talked about that. He was waiting and he got it and he took it. So usually when you see someone fast commit like that, that's when you're at the right place and it's a great fit, right? It's an easy sell once you get on their campus. I mean, it's a really good, great school, great facilities. And led by a group of men that are quality human beings that you want your son to play for.
Without question. And you can always tell if you see somebody who's committed someplace and an offer comes into them, and then all of a sudden they reopen their commitment, you know what's coming.
Yeah.
You know what's coming down the line. Change is on the way. But like I was saying, besides Boydston and Gregory and Hollis, I mean, they had like half of DeSmet's offensive line, 6-0 DeSmet's offensive line was there. And you're right. There are kids who have told me that's their dream school if they get offered. And it's like, interesting.
I think too, a lot of that goes back to obviously they're all the things they have to offer, but that mega camp is a huge draw, and it's such a big thing for the football community in the Midwest. Obviously, the kids selfishly in St. Louis get the best view of it because it's close in their backyard.
Right.
But it's a program defining camp that helps so many kids, not just kids they're going to recruit.
Right.
And I think it's just a really good thing. And we'll talk more about the mega camp, as we get closer. But it's really such a neat environment, and I can't be more excited to be a part of it because it is awesome.
It's amazing. It's a great tool for them, and it's a great tool for all the colleges in the area. And I mean, you have schools come from Texas, from all over the country,
UCLA, Oregon,
and it is the best. Oregon State, yeah I remember, and it is the best one in the Midwest. Yep. There are fewer and fewer. It seems to me this past couple of years, fewer and fewer mega camps. And I don't know whether that had to do with COVID or what, but don't want to miss out on that.
Absolutely not
at all. So yeah, good for them. Recruiting's picking up for them. Since we're talking college football, did you get a chance to see any of the Mizzou game?
I did. I got to see the way my schedule's been working. I get to watch a little bit, and then I have to watch the end. I get to watch it, and but I do, because I am a little crazy when I watch games. I love to rewind and all that. So it's, and watch and really pay attention to what's going on, especially offensively.
Right.
And just a signature win, Brady Cook. Awesome.
Having himself a year.
And I'm just so excited for him. He's such a good kid. And I know we've talked about him numerous times already on the show, but
there's a reason for that.
Yeah. And it's not because it's the en vogue hot thing to do.
No.
I've had the privilege of working with him since he's been a little boy. I think when he was 8 is when we started. And I did an interview today. I had a Post Dispatch call me. They're doing a piece on him, and they asked me a few questions. And I will tell you, so people want to ask about getting into training with your kids and all that. There's a right way and there's good motives of why you want to do it. Because if it's just to be better and get more confidence in yourself and learn and kind of see where it goes, that's really the right way to do it. Pushing someone into it, especially when they're young and they don't want to do it, I've seen that be a disaster. I've told people personally, hey, your son's in the wrong position, or maybe this isn't for them at this time. And it's just as simple as that, because you don't want to lose them, right? But Brady's a kid that got in when he was young, played a bunch of different sports, right? He was playing basketball, he was playing baseball, but football was obviously a passion. But he trained pretty consistently through that time, all the way through high school, and he still trains to this day. But he's a guy that his parents supported him the entire time the right way, and their perspective on it is it's hard to sit there and watch all the criticism sometimes, but I'm sure they're enjoying seeing him play the way we knew he could, and the Brady he is.
Not a lot of criticism this year. Not a lot going on right now. When you're 5-0. When you are among the top 5, I believe, rated passers in the nation this week after the game, 395 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Yep. He now holds a record, right, in the SEC for most consecutive passes without an interception,
which is huge.
Huge.
Which, and watching him over the years, when he was a freshman in high school, you could see where he would try to force the ball a little bit.
Yep. That's that young quarterback when you think got a big arm and you want to
and he did
it in.
He did, right. And so he would do it, but to go from that, because you'd watch him and you'd be like, no, boom. But now to have that record right now is awesome. So Brady Cook doing great. The other guys we talk about, Luther Burden, Theo Weiss, Marcus Johnson. They
Mhm.
have 3 wide receivers now for him to throw to.
Yeah.
Huge
Which
to
is
have that.
which I think is a big secret to his success this year. He's got more.
Without a
He's got Mookie Cooper catching consistently throughout the game.
Young Brett Norfleet from Francis Howell.
Yep. So
he's got options.
Yeah, he does.
And I got to tell you, and nobody knows it better than you. That makes you a much better quarterback.
Oh my gosh! I mean, yeah, you have to have people be able to catch the ball, right?
Yeah.
And then that's the one thing that's always tough with high school quarterbacks because they struggle because you can't. A lot of times you can't control who your receivers are, so they're not recruiting them. And
No
kids
transfer portal.
will say,
Really?
"Oh my gosh, I mean, what do I do? I had 5 drops last week, and
Yeah.
so it's kind of that thing where you show the highlight and cut it off, right, just to show the ball placement,
Right.
because they're not recruiting the guy that's catching the ball.
Right.
They're
And college
recruiting him.
coaches take that into
They
consideration.
they gotta see that. I mean, they're not recruiting you and the receiver. It's
Right.
typically yourself.
You're right. So talk about that a little bit. What goes into what college coaches look for in a quarterback? They're not looking for necessarily, your receivers catching the ball, this and that. Your mechanics, your athleticism. Just discuss that.
So the aesthetics of a quarterback play much larger role than people understand. Like the aesthetics, meaning in their drops, how smooth they are with their mechanics. Are they hitching when they don't need to hitch? Does the ball come out fast when it needs to come out fast? Are they able to evade and move, throw off platform, move to their right, throw to their left? Are they guys that just chuck the ball deep every single time? Right. Can they throw balls in intermediate?
Just having a cannon for an arm is not enough.
No, and I think that we go back to the highlight films. Like if you're a quarterback, don't go putting every play being a deep ball, right? They need to see, can you throw a slant? How do you throw in quick game?
Can you
what
make
do you look
all
like
the
in the
throws?
zone read,
Yeah.
right? And are you able to lock in and make the throws that they're going to require you to make? And I think a good thing is maybe your offense doesn't fit their offense, but knowing the style of throws that they have, right? And placing your film and making it as close to that as you can to show them that you fit that mold of what they're looking for. But mechanics play a huge component. I mean, I'll get in my soapbox a little bit right now. It's tough as a high school quarterback because there's not a ton of room for them in their space, but there's also this new trend of Instagram style throws, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I pride myself. I have 3-4 other quarterback coaches I work with at our facility, and we're biomechanically based, right? This is things that we know that work, that are tried and true. They've translated in the NFL, they've translated in the college level, they've translated in the high school level. Consistently, we have guys playing at the Division I level. We have guys that play in the NFL. Disproportionately, probably to our population. And watching those guys throw, they're pure throwers, right? Are they perfect? No, but they have good, solid mechanics that are repeatable. The Instagram style throws, these guys are trying to repeat what they see Patrick Mahomes doing. They're trying to train that into kids. And what I've always told people is when, our quarterbacks is when you're running a play, say it's a 3-step or a quick game or you're rolling out, you're supposed to throw on time and on schedule to where you're supposed to put the ball, right? When it breaks down, the play breaks down and you move out of the pocket, that's when you become an athlete, right?
Yes.
Those are throws 9 times out of 10 we're not able to even replicate. I mean, it's the old adage of, like they did tons of research on all the little fast footwork ladder drills. Like they've done numerous scientific studies and there's zero translation to sport, right? You're memorizing a pattern. Well, that doesn't usually translate to the game, right? So in a throwing mechanic, you can work a 3-step and throw because that is a pattern. That is something that you're going to repeat in the game exactly the way you're doing it. Once you get off schedule and you start to move around the pocket, it's very hard to recreate every single one of those. So you have guys teaching kids how to throw sidearm when reality, those are the types of things that college coaches that I've spoken with tell kids to run for the hills, right? Like I do, like well-known coaches have told me, not a good idea. Stay away from that.
It's 100% not a good idea. And in fact, I've seen some quarterbacks who are, they have college offers, and I've seen them over the years, and some who've committed, and some who are in college or made it to college, but they could have went to a bigger school. But man, they fell in love with that sidearm. that Mahomes is popularized.
Yeah, and Mahomes is doing that when he's checking stuff down and this, and and he runs a little bit differently than most guys. But you look at Tom Brady. These guys will use Tom Brady as an example when he's warming up. If you look, a lot of their stuff is like videos of guys screwing around warming up. Yeah, they're going to throw from different arm angles, right? If someone's in their face, they're going to scoot it around them. That is a different level of adaptation. That is not the mechanic off of a drop. The vast majority of throws should be coming off of a drop, a catch, turn, throw, whether that's quick game, whether it's a drop, a design drop or play action. You have to get your feet up underneath your body and throw, right? There's biomechanics that lead to true throws, right? And so how do you correct something if you can't repeat to begin with, right? You're not going to see that scenario ever again. How do you correct it? So I use like Isaiah Williams is probably one of the greatest examples. Unbelievable athlete, right? But he trained himself and got himself to be an unbelievable quarterback. And I used to always tell him he didn't like to even leave the pocket till he had to at the last second. I used to always tell him, like, people have zero idea. They see all the electric runs. It's all the throws you're making that people have zero comprehension because they're so fixated on the throws that you are compartmentalized. You're an unbelievable athlete, but you're an unbelievable quarterback, right? And, he got to college and he played, and then they moved him, right, because they needed to, and they had a change in staff. And, his size is, he's not a gigantic guy, but I think he'll end up getting drafted as a receiver.
Probably, yeah. Just an electric player. With the ball in his hands. He can catch the ball in that. And then, like I said, you're 6'4", 6'5" dude. Why would you handicap yourself by trying to throw sidearm?
So years ago, I'll name one kid. I won't name the other. Mike Glass. Okay. Yep. Probably one of the strongest arms. And that's saying a lot. We've trained a lot of individuals. He plays in CFL right now.
And Mike's not a big guy.
No, I think 5'10 and a half, 5'11", 6 foot on a good day. I think he might tell you.
On a good day.
Yeah. So I showed him, there was a gentleman that was recruiting, he and another guy, and the other guy was 6'5". And so when Mike went to throw, his mechanic is in line with his body. So I superimposed both guys standing in the same spot throwing, and the guy that was 6'5's arms out here, well below where Mike's was, and Mike's releasing up here, right?
Yeah.
So the other guy got moved to tight end when he got to college. Yeah. Mike, progressed through the game, started at Eastern Michigan. It really got kind of short end of the stick when it came to COVID, when it was his year to come out to go to the NFL.
Yep.
And but he's just grounded out. Now he's up playing in the CFL.
Yeah.
So awesome guy. He also can throw the ball about 75 yards,
right,
which is unreal. We clocked him at 63 miles per hour in our facility.
Great.
That's rare. That is high end.
So just describe to people how you're handicapping yourself. If you're 6'5" or 6'6", and you're throwing from this part of your body.
Well, one, if you just think about how the body works, it works in a linear fashion. Mm-hmm. So like if you extend your arm and your arm gets away from your body, mm-hmm, there's far less control, right? I always tell like the younger kids, like how we teach the concept is like a tree. If you grab a limb on the outside, it's very weak. If you grab a tree limb on the edge, right? If you grab it on the base near the trunk, it's very stable, right? So the closer you are to the middle of the body where it's producing force, right? It's a lateral move. It's a vertical movement, not out to the side. So as we teach these guys how to generate force out of the ground, the primary focus is getting the energy to stay in that same line and then sending it out to the target. So these guys that let their arm drop, they lose valuable, distance and leverage on the ball, but they're disconnecting the energy. Then they swing through, which then affects accuracy, a whole host of other reasons, right? So everything we teach is going to be focused on failure modes. When it goes high, you want to know why it went high. When it goes low, when we miss, we want to miss on a straight line on the target. We don't want to miss left or right. High and low is acceptable, right? Because the receiver can go up and get it or go down and get it. Left and right is how you get picked off. So exactly. If you watch our quarterbacks, by and large, You have some very accurate high school quarterbacks, very accurate junior high quarterbacks, and colleges as well. I mean, very accurate.
Right. Unless you're Uncle Rico, you don't want to be.
I mean, and it's just
Mahomes.
shocking that you have people, and these kids are falling out of throws.
Yeah.
For no reason, throwing across their body.
Throwing backwards.
And at the end of the day, it's great to practice some of that stuff and that. But I can tell you, if you're moving around properly in practice, you're going to get plenty of off.
You don't want that to be your regular delivery.
No.
So Mizzou, 5-0. Not, you can't say that they're like belong in the top 10. Some of them been close, but they're winning. Winning is winning.
Yep.
Doesn't matter. They're doing well. Up though, next a pretty good test. LSU comes to town.
Yeah.
3-2 LSU. And it's a sellout, and there's going to be a ton of recruits there.
Yeah.
Kids are hitting me up all the time, telling me that they're going to be there for a game day visit. And so this really is a coming out party. You win here.
Well, can you name another SEC team that has more St. Louis kids that we're going to see on that team, on an opposing team?
And here's the thing: when Mizzou has St. Louis kids as their stars, they win.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. And that's
going back to Pinkel, going back before that.
Right. And so you have those guys, and then LSU comes to town. They have Mac Markway, Buckeye Wingo.
Are you talking about
Seth Marchione?
You're talking about the other Tigers.
The other Tigers, the ones in purple, right? So I don't know that there's another SEC team that has that many St. Louis kids on it.
You're right.
And then you have Seth, and I think Jacqueline Johnson's right. He's there too as well. So 4 or 5 guys. Mac Markway is playing quite a bit. I mean, he's a stud. Excellent player. But I think it is interesting because you have guys that are St. Louis, born and raised, and they're playing for a different school. And I think that's, part of Mizzou's mission is to let those guys understand that the guys that are recruiting, like, hey, stay here.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of that.
Stay here. And I can tell you, winning breeds winning, right? And some of the phone calls, I got a phone call this weekend that I will not divulge who it was. Super excited about Mizzou football. And if he's excited, that's really good for the future of Mizzou football, right? So it's one of those things. I can
guess who that.
And I think that's what's cool about it is it's local and it's something that you can do. That's not to say that kids can't go other places and have success, right? And they should go where they're comfortable. But I think it's an exciting time to get Mizzou back on the national stage. And if they can come out and play a solid game and win, they'll be going against Robert Steeples, a former player of ours, right. and a former
St. Louisan,
former elite football coach and flag football coach, which I think is pretty cool. He's coaching the DBs there. He's an excellent coach and former Tiger. He's going to get back there and be in his old stomping grounds.
Talk about time flying. We were talking about the season flying. I remember when Robert was a junior in high school at a Mizzou camp and talking to him, scouting him, getting his information, stuff like that. And here
he's
we are.
He's there wearing a headband. He used to wear a headband back in the day.
Yeah.
I remember his vertical leap was outrageous.
Heck of an athlete, 4.5 40 guy.
Yeah, I actually went to his pro day and down at Memphis because he played his last year at Memphis, and he killed it. I mean, absolutely killed it. But it was like a thunderstorm getting ready to come up, and they ran their 40s outside.
Nice backdrop.
I mean, it was crazy, and they probably shouldn't even have been out there, but they had to get it in.
Yeah,
and he did a great job and represented himself really well, and it was a really fun day to get to see him do that. But where he's gone, his coaching career is really impressive. He's been in the NFL already. He's now, he's been a state championship high school coach.
Nothing
NFL.
but an upward trajectory.
Yeah. And he's got
coach college football in the future, possibly.
Yeah, for sure.
So one of the kids that's going to be at Mizzou game day visit, I was at his game on Saturday. I crossed the river and went over and checked out East St. Louis against Belleville West. Keeland LeGrant, who we're both familiar with, another elite football combine participant. Told me he's going to be up there for that game. And I was at that game, and I got to tell you what, East St. Louis was impressive. It was really no contest. They blanked them.
Yeah.
It was like 63-0 when things were ended. And but what's really impressive about them is their freshman class.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I've seen a better freshman class of guys. They had the chance to play freshman quarterback Reese Shanklin.
He's solid.
He's more than
solid.
Really
solid.
He's going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to miss a beat over the next 4 years.
I agree.
Freshman running back two freshman running backs who were just amazing. Our guy Fresh Woods was there, had 3 touchdowns. You know, a wide receiver, you name it, every position, line, you name it. And then I ran into an 8th grader who's 6'6", 300 pounds.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
got that. They have a really good thing going.
Unbelievable. I asked him, I'm like, so are you injured? He's like, I'm an 8th grader, sir. I'm like, oh, okay.
That I will tell you, like all these middle school games, it is shocking to me some of the size of the kids.
Crazy.
I think it's really easy to see now, and it's tough to like sometimes write off some of these guys haven't fully grown yet, and you're like, oh, that guy looks real little, and then that guy ends up being the stud. But there are a lot of big kids roaming around these middle schools.
A lot of huge kids. So I was at that game. I had a chance to talk to head coach Darren Sunkett following the game to get some thoughts from him about the game and his team. And so Coach Darren Sunkett spoke with him. Here's what he had to say. Coach, thoughts on your team's performance today?
I thought the defense played well. They pretty much performed in every aspect of the game. Rush defense, pass defense. We're still very sloppy offensively. I don't think we're as efficient as we need to be at this time of the season. So we still got a lot of work to do.
Okay, thoughts on the season? You guys are off to a good start again.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, that's expected from the kids and the coaches, you know, going into the season. So, you know, we just got to keep going. We got to ride this wave and, like I said, fix a few things offensively, and we'll be fine.
You're still a young team, so a lot of young guys out there.
Yeah, we got a great group of young kids. You know, you had a chance to see those guys early in the third quarter. You seen some in the first half. You know, we got an outstanding young quarterback who we're trying to get some reps to. And we're just trying to build for the future.
Who are some of the guys that have stood out to you so far this year?
You know, we had several. I don't like to name those names like that, but
team effort.
I mean, it's a team sport.
Yep.
We've got a nucleus of kids who perform week in, week out.
Is that the culture that you try to create here? Is team everybody's the same, everybody on the same page?
Yeah, everybody's on the same page. You know, you want it as competitive as you can get it. Within the team, but you want each kid to support each other. You know, I mean, it's a big brother, little brother situation that we have. And the older guys support those younger guys, and vice versa. So, like I said, I think we got a great team. We got things we need to work on, and you know, we still got time. We got a few more weeks for the playoffs, a couple weeks for Everfield, and we'll have it right.
Windy day there, but thanks to Coach Sunkett. Always good to me. With regards to his team and his kids. So, but man, he's just a Leviathan. It's just a monster of a program over there.
Yeah, I mean they've pumped out so many great athletes, but they have great consistency of play. Yeah, and they are sure those teams over in the Metro East can't stand having to put them.
Oh, if they see those freshmen, they're like, oh man, the coaches. Here we go for the next 4 years. Yeah. The only other teams that I've seen who have comparable freshman talent are Lee Summit North and CBC. Now, what does East St. Louis, Lee Summit North, and CBC have in common? The consistency.
They win. They win. Consistently win.
They're always competing for championships. Lee Summit North is 6-0 and number 1 in Class 6. Yeah, right now.
I mean, there's guys, and we talked about it like. Consistency, winning tradition that breeds people wanting to be a part of it.
Kids want to go there,
right? And that's as simple as that. Yeah. Right? And I know it's frustrating because, the same teams, you consistently are winning, but I think it's you look at like why would someone want to be at that school? Well, they want to be there because they want to be a part of that process, and I think Coach Sunkett's done an awesome job. Yeah.
And that's the process he just laid out for you.
Yeah. That's he sounded really similar to Coach Macklin a few weeks ago.
Very much so.
Very high on the defense, and the offense just didn't do it right. And I think, what'd you say, they put up 60-something points?
63. Oh, yeah. Well, which is interesting because Friday night, the night before, I was at the Lutheran North and MICDS game. Yeah. Very similar. In fact, following that game, I spoke with head coach Kyle Wagner, and he said some very similar stuff. He was not happy about the end result, and here he had a nice little win. Here's head coach Kyle Wagner of Lutheran North. Here with Lutheran North head coach Kyle Wagner. Thoughts on tonight's game? Big victory, undefeated teams.
Yeah, man. MICDS is a tough team.
My team, man, I think we didn't put together a full game. I think we still haven't put together a full game. First half, our offense kind of sputtered a little bit, had a couple of key drops, and then second half, our defense struggled a little bit. So still looking forward to that moment where we put together a full game to see what we can really be. But all in all, anytime you beat a great team like that, you know, you want to kind of be happy about it, but we got to get ready for next week too. We play Maryville. So
46-21, and you guys aren't happy. Guys on your team I talked to all said that they could do better.
Yeah, I mean, we set a high standard for this team. From the summer to the way we work, I've seen what they're capable of, and tonight, you know, they didn't play to that level, and I think they know that. I think that they feel that, and part of it is just our preparation. So we have to prepare a little bit better next week. You know, we play a great quarterback, great receivers, and we got to be ready to go. We haven't played a team that can throw the ball as well as this team throws the ball, so it'll be another good test for us.
We spoke after the first game. You guys shut out Hazelwood Central. How has your team matured from then to now?
I think they believe. I think they believe in how great they can be. And I think that that's huge for us. Anytime you can win a game like this and everybody leaves unhappy, I think it bodes well for the way we're going to work in this next week and continuing to do the work. These guys, they haven't taken anybody lightly, which I'm proud of, but I want to see them put together a full 4 quarters. I think it can be really scary. So hopefully we do it at the right time.
You guys have played a really tough schedule, though. Beating Francis Howell, beating Hazelwood Central, beating a good Blair Oaks team at their place. And now you're going on the road. The game's in Macon, right?
It actually got moved to Chillicothe, Missouri.
Chillicothe, Missouri.
Yep.
Okay, a little farther out.
A little bit further.
A little bit further out. What do you know about Maryville and your thoughts on that game?
I mean, they've been to state championships several times over the last 10 to 12 years. Matt Webb is a Hall of Fame coach. Quinlan, their quarterback, lit us up last year. We pulled it out on the last, block at the end of the game, walk-off. Their receivers, they have 3 or 4 great receivers. They're always tough up front. And they're a championship caliber football team, and we better bring everything we got in order to win that football game.
Guys on your team tonight that stood out to you?
I say as much, I got pretty upset with Dakari, but he ended up with 5 touchdown passes and 319 yards. It didn't feel like it, but that's just because of the high standard I hold him to. So he put together another great game, took care of the ball, didn't turn it over. I think he's now at 17 touchdown passes with no interceptions, which is pretty impressive. Keon Gibson had a big interception, had a big fumble recovery that kind of got everything started that he ran back. And then I say Mike Clark, he's now had 2 big games in a row where he just, big plays, man, using his speed. I was proud of him because he had 2 early drops where he should have had big plays, and then second half he made them. So
Dakari just keeps getting better. How good can he be?
I was, kind of joking with the guys, man. They told me he had 5 touchdowns. Like I thought he would throw for 7 to 9 tonight. So I think his ceiling is incredible. I think he's a Power 5, quarterback. Great legs, great arm. He's tough to game plan for. So his ceiling is incredible. So I hope he gets to that point at some point in one of these big games, man, and just does something that's extraordinary.
Amazing, right? We see it from him right there, just like we saw from Coach Sunkett, Coach Macklin. They don't settle. They're not happy with the end product unless it's perfection.
I know that feeling as a coach. Exactly what he's talking about. You have that feeling of what you can be, and when you don't hit at every phase.
Oh yeah.
Those are the ones you remember, right? You remember the drops, or you remember the, you don't really fixate on the things you do really well as a coach. And I think that's pretty common with guys that are competitive and want to win and know that they're building towards the end of the season. And I think sometimes it's that first inclination to say, oh, well, yeah, we won, but coach, just enjoy the victory, right? I think that there's more to it than that, right? Because when you're trying to build towards a championship season, what can lie ahead, because it's only going to tighten down the deeper you get into the year. So I certainly can respect where he's coming from.
It's that kind of drive that breeds success.
Yep.
Right. And you got to expect that from your players. And if they buy into it, that's when you have that level of success. Yeah. So great to hear from him. Big game against Maryville. I don't know why it was going to be in Macon, but now it's moved a little further to Chillicothe against Maryville. Very good team, really good quarterback. They do really throw the ball well. So that's going to be interesting. Just test after test after test for this Lutheran North team.
Yep.
They played MICDS on Friday. I spoke to one of the top players for the Rams on MICDS, Lucas Allgeyer. At 6'6", 255. He dropped a little weight. He was about 265 last year. Offensive tackle, defensive end for the Rams. And Lucas updated me on his recruitment, and here's what he had to say.
I'm Lucas Allgeyer, class of 2025. I'm a D lineman and offensive tackle at MICDS, and I have 5 offers from Marshall, Tulane, Toledo, Miami of Ohio, and Navy.
And what position are schools recruiting you as?
They're recruiting at both, but I'm getting a lot of O-line.
Game day visits coming up.
I'm actually heading out of here tonight to go to Kentucky tomorrow.
Any other game day visits planned down the line?
KU and K-State.
And when are those?
The following 2 weeks.
These schools that you're hearing from that you don't have offers from?
Duke University, Iowa, and a couple others.
What's your height and weight?
I'm 6'6", 255.
Do you like playing on the offensive line?
Love it.
As much as the defensive line?
Hey, I'm an athlete. I play where they want me to play, and I'll do what I need to do.
No preference in college?
No.
So another young athlete from the state of Missouri, from the St. Louis area, getting heavily recruited. You know, bunch of SEC schools that he mentions in there. You know, Big 10 schools. You know, Big 12 schools.
Good size athlete, moves well.
Incredible athlete.
Yeah.
At 6'6", 260, you're talking about a kid who's got a 10-2 broad jump. You know.
Yeah, it's tough for people to quite understand. Like, I think there's so much parity when you get to college and the pros, and it looks like everybody's moving at the same speed, which they relatively are. But they are high-performing individuals, and you start to tease that out in high school guys and that are that size that can move like the small guys. I mean, you're a receiver, a DB, and you broad jump 10'2". That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? Let alone being 6'5", 255. Right?
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Yeah. Defensive end, offensive tackle. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what they're looking for, that kind of explosiveness, that kind of athleticism on that. So another big week of recruiting and high school football games. Like I said, guys are going to be all over the place on game day visits. Triston Abrahm, who we spoke about, CBC, going to be at Minnesota. Gabe Cunningham from Wentzville Holt, a teammate of Mason Burke and Quinn Brown, is going to be at Iowa State. I talked about Keeland LeGrant, going to be at Mizzou. Garret Jackson. All these names sound familiar to you?
Yeah.
Going to be at Kansas. And this is not on purpose. This is just how it works out, folks. I'm not mentioning these names just because we are so familiar with them, because a lot of them train at elite.
Same guys. Yeah.
Same guys.
Hey, Dillon Duff, I don't know when he's going to go down to Duke fairly soon, but I know they were in to see him. And
they like him a lot. Yep.
They like him. He's real similar to the guy they got the signal caller they have right now. So
exactly. And then high school football, a lot of unbeaten still, surprisingly, left.
Yeah,
just hanging around. You have DeSmet, who we were talking about, Lee Summit North, who we were talking about, it's unbeaten. Nixa, Oak Park, Seckman. Not real familiar with Seckman. I know a little bit about them. Yeah, a little surprising at 6-0.
They have a solid program. I mean,
they lost some good
they really
players
did.
from last year.
Rubel was a man amongst boys, but I think they run a good system that probably fits their athletes extremely well.
Right,
and they're hard to match with. They had a signature win last year against SLU. That was a big one. And I think they probably gave them a lot of confidence too.
Exactly. Cardinal Ritter, still undefeated. Lebanon, Missouri, St. Dominic, Lutheran North, who we spoke about, heard from Coach Wagner. Hillsboro, a team that does not get the due that it
should.
Deserves. They absolutely should. Great coach down there. Really talented, big-time players.
Coach Sucharski's an absolute gem. I mean, great guy. He is a really solid person coaching football that understands the game, has a solid understanding of why they're doing it, and they push their kids. They have an excellent weightlifting program. They do a lot of stuff where, quite honestly, they are very dominant, and they gave Cardinal Ritter, I remember watching that game last year, a run for their money, and it was a heck of a game. But they have a bunch of kids that make the trek up.
Yeah.
Both his sons come in and
train. G1 running back, linebacker.
Coach Sucharski's son Chase is an absolute animal.
He is an animal.
He's an animal. He is put together. He's a high level guy who's going to play college football. Whoever gets him is going to be really lucky.
Loves the weight room.
Both the boys, the Brown boys.
Yeah.
Peyton and Preston.
Both of the Browns
studs.
Are D1 players.
Yes, for
Peyton,
sure.
the running back, linebacker. Yep. Preston, quarterback. Yep. He's part of that really, really talented 2025 quarterback class.
Yep.
And he's not getting a lot of attention, not getting a lot of notoriety, except right now here on the Football 360 show. Yeah. We're going to talk about him, and we're going to be talking about him and Peyton.
Yeah,
more coming up.
Both really hardworking, kids. I mean, their whole solid class of kids that come in and work out. They'll come to St. Louis to train. I mean, it's not a short trip. But I think it's really cool because they get to mix with guys from all over the region, and they're buddies with them. And they played 7-on-7 with Midwest Boom, which is our team. Which, shameless plug, we do have a tryout coming up on November 12th. It's a Sunday, a little bit earlier than we've done it in years past. But indoor space is really hard to come by this time of year, and we have a partnership and Lou Fuse Athletic, and they helped us out and got us some field space, and
nice,
really good guys. And it's a great venue. I mean, we've been running events at the old Rams Park, which is now Lou Fuse Athletic, since the Rams were here. We used to be like the exclusive back in the day and get access to that space when nobody was getting into it. And now it's more of a public space with Lou Fuse having it. It's more community oriented, and just a great experience. And
what is that day?
It's Sunday, November the 12th.
Somebody's interested,
2 to 4 p.m. And one of the things that's really neat, this could be cool. It's a very big differentiator between us and any of the other clubs in the Midwest. All the kids are familiar with OT7, which is the hottest 7-on-7 circuit. Midwest Boom is the only OT7 team that's in the Midwest. So that we represent, and our Midwest Boom kids that play on our St. Louis team. We'll be trying out to make that team to be on the OT7 circuit. And there's some really big things coming out of that. And J.R. Nicholas, who's the founder of Boom, who I used to train when he was a St. Louis Ram, we'll have him on the show. He's the innovator. He is I know I'm biased, but there's no one in the game that has a bigger, more productive name and powerful name than Midwest Boom when it comes to helping kids be validated by the program, right? Which then college coaches obviously place stock in that. And I tell kids all the time, like, look, you got to use 7-on-7 for what it's worth. It's off-season reps, it's developmental. But at the same time, you want to get something out of it, right? If your goal is to be a guy, I mean, I was talking to Brady Cook about it last night. I mean, Brady Cook, Isaiah Williams did it. It was C.D. Lamb was a member of the team. We have Kyron Williams, who's in the NFL, Tony Adams, guy after guy and team after team that, our St. Louis guys and the Chicago guys combined and make super teams. It's really cool. And it takes us to a different level. And I think, as kids start to explore that off season, I also think you need to be realistic about it though. It's not, college coaches cannot go to 7-on-7 events. So if they're going to see in your Twitter bio that you're a member of Midwest Boom, they know what that is. They can't come watch you play. So I think a lot of people lie and tell kids that that's part of the process. It's not. They cannot be there. It's against the rules. So you will not see college coaches, Division I, FBS, FCS guys at those tournaments. You just won't. Some of the smaller schools you will see, but they don't get out because a lot of times it's during their spring period.
Right. You'll see me there.
Yeah,
I show up.
Yeah. JP's there. I mean, and the thing is like
you don't have to go play for a team from California or Florida.
No,
right?
Not at all. I mean, there's
what JR is built in you here.
It's yeah. I mean, they were one play away from
Midwest.
being in the final of the OT7 last year, right? And we have a proud partnership, and we got a partnership with Adidas, which is really cool. It's one of the signature programs.
So much good 7-on-7 football. Developed here, and I remember when it was just starting out. It's crazy to what it's become.
Yeah, really interesting. So the first 7-on-7 team in St. Louis, we ran with the St. Louis Rams, and we did it for 4 years, right? And so the top 12 we picked 12 kids from the St. Louis region, and they represented the St. Louis Rams versus the other NFL teams, right? So we played the likes of Leonard Fournette and, you name the NFL guys, they were there, like they were as kids. And we were the Rams, St. Louis Rams 7-on-7 team through the high school player development program the NFL ran. And they would fly the team out. Really cool deal. We would select about 2,000 kids would come to our camps, and then we would select 12. And myself and a guy named Kyle Eversger with the Rams would do that. And it was a really big deal. And it's a who's who of that time period of those guys that played with us. But we had out of 48 kids that we selected over those 4 years, over 20 of them played in the NFL.
That's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would say that we had a pretty good beat on who was who. Right.
Yeah.
But I think experiences like that too, where the kids are in there, they're getting taught, they're learning, they're going at a higher level.
That's where 7-on-7 helps.
Yeah.
It really helps hone your skills, keep you, keep you on that upward trajectory, learning. And if you look at 7-on-7 from that aspect, that is a good thing.
Yeah. And I think that's the other thing is like, it's like club baseball teams, they pop up all the time. And I think people see it as like, it's a money making opportunity, and it could not be further from the truth. It's a developmental, and it's really from us, we'd rather train athletes and develop them in-house because we know that it works. But getting our quarterbacks out and receivers out to run routes and throw, I mean, oftentimes some of our practices are way more competitive. I mean, a guy like a Ryan Wingo showed up to practice 7-8 times last year, was running routes so he can get live reps against guys. He didn't need to play in the tournaments. There's no real reason to do that when you're a 5-star guy, but yeah, he's getting reps with his buddies.
And that's important.
It's really important.
It's huge. So no New Year's Eve tryout this year.
No, probably not this year. But that's the tryout one. We'll have another one in December.
Yeah, so you never know.
It might be.
It might be. Got something to look forward to. So great games to see. Undefeated teams there. Nevada, our guy Talan Chandler down there. He's hitting me up all the time. He's like, you got to come on down. We're playing Lamar. I'm like, Lamar?
Yeah.
No, I'm like, they're playing that. Just unbelievable team.
I didn't see the video yet.
Did you see it?
I didn't see it yet.
17 pancakes.
Yeah, he's got 17 pancakes. I mean, Talan's just a stud. I mean, he's a kid that started training as a little guy, and then was a linebacker for many years. Yeah. And then he experimented. He wanted to be a tight end, and he did 7-on-7. He wanted to be a linebacker and all that. And we had a good time with it. And then he kept growing and getting bigger and bigger. Yeah. But again, one of the top-rated centers in the country. Right?
Going to Colorado.
Going
to play for Prime Time.
Yep, Prime Time and Coach Bill O'Boyle, which those guys are just class acts, and they're doing a great job. And Talan, they got on him fast. Coach Pond, who's our O-line coach,
best in the business.
Best in the business. Made a phone call to Coach O'Boyle and said, "Hey, look, I got this kid, Talan Chandler. I think you'll love him." And there's other guys. The kid that Bill O'Boyle missed on, and he'll talk about it all the time when he was at Kent State. Josh Baker.
Oh,
and they had him. I mean, they had him like he was I mean, he was going to do it, and then he ended up the last second going to Arizona. And Talan is very reminiscent of young Josh Baker. Big lower body, very good technically, and can just flat out play. But yeah, he's down there dominating guys.
Josh is, yeah,
absolutely, and Talan as well. I mean, they're both just
Talan as well. Yeah, both of them are, and Talan, what I like to say is he's Josh mechanics with a really mean streak. I mean, he loves to stack his pancakes.
Yes, he does.
He's nasty. He loves putting guys into the turf. That's great. So they're still undefeated. So I think that we've pretty much touched on everything except you wanted to bring up about,
you're speaking of putting people in the turf. Like a couple weeks ago, we've had a deal where a young man went too far on the field and hit another young man took his helmet off of him, and when he was defenseless and hit him with
his own helmet. Yeah.
And we have some video of something that took place down in Dallas, Texas, this past week. It was at Whitney High School, and their head coach is David Haynes. And as you watch the video, it's pretty disturbing. The young man, see an arrow on him. He's going to make a play, and he bumps the referee. The referee takes his helmet off his head, and then, to make matters worse, he rips it from him and then flags him and ejects him from the game.
That's crazy.
The Texas, Interscholastic or whatever they call it, university, that I forgot the name of it, they're now reviewing it. but that was the head coach's son who got his helmet ripped off. So clearly, the mom was filming it when it happened. I mean, the kid, and the ref's defense was that he felt though he was being targeted and run into. Unfortunately, this play looks like the kid did nothing of the sort. He just was going to pass drop.
Yeah.
Obviously, you kind of got to be aware of the referee.
Looks like he was trying to run by him.
Yeah, and he grabbed him by his face mask, and it wasn't like he kept continuing into him. So things like that obviously give football kind of a tainted view, but those are few and far between. But I think I've never seen anything like that, and I thought it was something to at least bring up because that's crazy. I mean, I just cannot imagine watching that happen to my son on the field or a player on my team.
Oh, yeah. I mean, good composure by the coach if he didn't run out there and do something about that.
Yeah.
But,
you could hurt somebody pulling their helmet.
It does.
Yanking it off their head.
I imagine if you dig deep into the backstory, there's some kind of history there between that ref and that coach. Yeah. Which you see it all the time, unfortunately. Not a lot, but
there's obviously some words probably that get said during games, and I think that's a lot of that's just due to competitiveness, but you got to learn sometimes to leave that line. You can't cross it.
Absolutely. So that'll do it this week for the Football 360 show. Great to have you joining us. First time live. A little bit of hiccup might have been my part. If that's the case, I apologize for that, but I think that we smoothed out the edges, and hopefully the plan is to be every week, every Tuesday.
And make sure you're liking, sharing, subscribing. Absolutely. I mean, we're getting a tremendous response out of the reels on Instagram. We're getting a lot of people watching those and
share,
interacting.
Subscribe on YouTube. Go to the socials at 360 Football on X and at 360 Football on Instagram as well. And if you're interested in advertising, please contact our gal, Megan, Migs at 360 Football. Show.com, Migs at 350footballshow.com if you're interested in advertising with us like Wonderful Wednesdays does, which sounds pretty good right about now. Yeah. And we're going to go ahead and talk to you next week. So thanks for joining us. See you then.